Hello, my name is Patricia Brooks, and this is Courage Concept number 12. Relying on a crutch can be very disempowering. Yesterday, I went to a car dealership to finally find out what it is I need to do to purchase a car and drive it legally in France. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to find that out, asking everybody and their brother, and I still didn't know. So yesterday, I went to the dealership, and they gave me the name and phone number of an insurance agent. It was to call them to find out what documents I needed. Later that day, I went and had coffee with a friend who speaks French and English fluently. And I asked him if he would do me a little bit of a favor. I asked him if he would call the insurance agent for me, even though I'm quite capable of speaking French very well. And he said, sure. And when he called, he spoke to the receptionist. I hadn't instructed him to talk directly to the agent. And at the end of that conversation, I was no closer to knowing what I needed than before that conversation. And so I was frustrated. I continued my day running my errands. And when I got back to my house, I decided I was going to call myself and find out for myself. So I picked up the phone, called the agent, and we spoke very well together. The conversation flowed. I understood what he said. He understood what I said. At the end of that conversation, I had one of the documents I needed and knew exactly what I needed to do to get the second. So I'm well on my way to getting a car and insurance and having it registered in France. The lesson here is when you rely on a crutch, it can be very disempowering. Trust your abilities. And when you do, you build confidence in yourself. Or if you don't have the success you expect, you will find out where you need to improve. But either way, you win. Now, this reminds me of when I was learning how to ride a bicycle. I remember the day that my dad took the training wheels off my bike, and I was so afraid. But he said, oh, no, I'm going to be right here behind you. I'm going to be right here behind you. Don't worry. And so as I started pedaling, my dad started walking quickly behind the bike. And he says, I'm right here, I'm right here, I'm right here, I'm right here, I'm right here. And his voice got more and more distant. And so I turned around and he wasn't right there. But the thing was, I was riding the bike without him, without training wheels. And so that was very empowering. Relying on the training wheels as a crutch was disempowering. Relying on my dad to be there was disempowering. Having him let go empowered me. And being able to communicate in French with some very complicated or more complicated language around insurance surprised me. But I was more than ready, and I needed that little push to step into and own my ability to speak and understand French. Now, this concept, relying on a crutch, can be very disempowering, speaks to the catalyst for cultivating courage that is building self-confidence. Because when we doubt our abilities, we don't give ourselves the chance to see if we are capable. And we don't give ourselves the chance to see how well we do, even if we don't feel we have fully succeeded. And when we don't feel like we have, quote unquote, fully succeeded, we can see areas where we need to improve or to work on. So either way, by stepping out and doing things on your own when you have been relying on a crutch is empowering. Now, in order to help you use this courage concept, I'd like for you to write down a time when you relied on a crutch. What was the situation? What were you relying on? What didn't you believe about yourself? Question number 2 is, what was the result of you continuing to rely on a crutch instead of on your own abilities? And finally, question number 3, what did you learn about yourself from that incident? Or what are you learning right now as you are thinking back to that incident about your abilities and about relying on a crutch? That is today's courage concept. Relying on a crutch can be very disempowering. Trust yourself to be able to be capable of doing what it is you want. And if you don't have the success, quote unquote, success that you expect, learn to take from that and grow from that. That is how we develop self-confidence. That's how we learn how to do anything. That is all I have for you today. Bye for now.